It was supposed to be a simple grocery run. Monique Carter just wanted to grab a few things: some fresh produce, a bottle of wine, and a carton of oat milk for her morning coffee. She had no idea that today she'd become the target of a full-blown Karen meltdown. And by the time she walked out of that store, someone else was going to be in handcuffs. But it sure as hell wasn't going to be her. Meet Karen Whitmore, a walking disaster. Karen Whitmore was exactly what you'd picture when you hear the name Karen. Mid-40s, bleach blonde bob, a permanent scowl. Dressed in overpriced athleisure, even though she hadn't seen the inside of a gym since the Bush administration. And of course, entitled as hell. She was the kind of woman who threw tantrums over expired coupons, who demanded to speak to the manager like it was her God-given right, the kind who saw a black woman in a nice outfit and immediately assumed she didn't belong. And today Karen had found her next target. Monique just didn't know it yet. The grocery aisle showdown begins. Monique was minding her business, browsing the dairy aisle, when she felt it, that unmistakable feeling of being watched. She turned her head slightly, just enough to catch Karen glaring at her. Hard, Monique sighed. She knew this look. It was the look of a woman who didn't think she belonged here, like she had wandered into the wrong neighborhood, the wrong store, the wrong tax bracket. Monique ignored her. She wasn't about to let some bitter, middle-aged suburbanite ruin her afternoon. She reached for a carton of oat milk and placed it in her cart. And that's when Karen made her move. "Oh, didn't expect to see you shopping here." Monique raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" Karen smirked. "I mean, I just didn't think someone like you could afford this store." Monique let out a slow, deep breath. Here we go. She wasn't in the mood for this nonsense, but clearly, Karen was. Karen gets bolder and stupider. Monique wasn't the type to let ignorance slide, but she also wasn't about to give Karen the reaction she was looking for, so she just smiled. "Oh, honey, not only can I afford this store, I could probably buy it." Karen's face twitched. That was not the response she wanted, so she took it up a notch. "You know, it's just interesting, seeing someone like you driving a car like that parked outside." Monique tilted her head, so this was about her car, the sleek jet-black Mercedes S-Class parked right outside, the one Karen probably saw and assumed it had to belong to an athlete, a rapper, or a drug dealer. Because God forbid a successful black woman just exists, Monique smirked. "Oh, you mean my car? The one I paid for with my money?" Karen scoffed. "Oh, please. Women like you don't just buy those kinds of cars." Monique arched an eyebrow. "Women like me?" Karen realized what she said, but instead of backing down, she doubled down. "I mean, I just think it's suspicious. That's all." Oh, she was really trying it. And Monique, she was done playing nice the moment Karen crossed the line. Monique stepped closer, lowering her voice so only Karen could hear. "Let me guess. You saw a black woman in a luxury car and assumed I stole it? Or maybe you think I'm somebody's sugar baby." Karen's lips parted, but Monique didn't give her a chance to respond. "Or maybe you just can't handle the fact that I make more money than your husband, if you even have one." Karen's face turned beet red. Oh yeah, that hit a nerve. And when entitled white women like Karen get mad, they don't just walk away, they make it everyone else's problem. And that's exactly what she did. Without warning, Karen reached into Monique's cart, grabbed her oat milk, and dropped it on the floor. The carton burst open, spilling everywhere. The aisle went silent. Monique looked down at the mess, then back up at Karen. Karen just smirked, because she thought she won. She thought Monique was about to lose it. She thought she could push her over the edge and get the reaction she wanted. But Monique? She just folded her arms and smiled, because Karen had just made the biggest mistake of her life, and Monique was about to let karma do its thing. Karen Whitmore was fuming. She expected Monique to blow up, to cuss her out, to get aggressive, to do something that Karen could use against her. But Monique just stood there, calm as hell, looking down at the spilled milk like it was just another minor inconvenience in her day. That infuriated Karen. This woman was supposed to get mad. She was supposed to make a scene. She was supposed to give Karen an opening. But Monique wasn't playing along, and Karen couldn't let that slide. Nope. She needed to turn this around. She needed to make herself the victim. And then, like all Karens do, she got a brilliant idea. Karen goes full Karen mode and fakes an attack. Without warning. "Oh my God, she pushed me!" Heads snapped around. A couple shoppers gasped. A store worker literally dropped the can of soup he was stocking. Karen stumbled backward dramatically, flailing her arms like she was in some low-budget soap opera. She staggered, teetering on the edge of the spilled milk puddle, pretending like she was about to fall. Monique didn't even flinch. She just blinked, crossed her arms and sighed, because she knew exactly what was happening. Karen was trying to stage an incident, to make it look like the big, scary black woman had attacked her. It was a classic move, and it might have worked if Karen wasn't so damn bad at it. The moment Karen knew she screwed up, before security could even react, another voice rang out. Sharp, loud, and pissed. "Oh, hell no. I saw everything." Karen froze. A woman in a crisp navy blue blazer stepped forward, arms crossed, eyes locked on Karen like a hawk about to dive in for the kill. Vanessa Green. Monique's best friend? And a damn good lawyer. Karen's mouth opened, but before she could spit out another lie, Vanessa kept going. "Lady, you just faked that whole thing. I was standing right there the entire time." Karen swallowed hard. Other shoppers were nodding now. A few had their phones out recording. This wasn't going the way she thought it would. Not at all. And then it got worse. Karen's web of lies starts unraveling. A store employee, the guy who dropped his soup, stepped up next to Vanessa. "Yeah, she's lying," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I saw the whole thing too. The other lady didn't touch her." Karen's eyes darted around, desperate for someone, anyone to take her side. But no one did. A woman nearby muttered, "Typical Karen behavior." Another guy shook his head, whispering, "She really tried it." Karen felt her face heating up. She had to salvage this. She had to take control. So she did what all Karens do best. She doubled down. She threatened me. I felt unsafe. She was intimidating me." Vanessa rolled her eyes so hard it was a miracle they didn't get stuck. "Lady, you need a new script, because that one is tired." Monique let out a low chuckle. And that chuckle, that tiny little laugh, that sent Karen over the edge. She spun back to Monique, pointing a trembling finger at her. "You think this is funny? You're bullying me." Monique arched an eyebrow. "Ma'am, you crashed into me. You spilled milk on purpose. You screamed like a damn banshee. And now you're the victim?" Karen's lips parted. But then, the worst thing that could possibly happen, happened. "Security to aisle 5. Security to aisle 5. Karen's stomach dropped. This wasn't going how she planned. At all. Karen's nightmare just got real. A minute later, 2 uniformed police officers walked in. One white, one black. Karen instantly perked up. This was her chance. If she could get to the white cop first, spin the story, maybe she could still turn this around. So she ran to them, tears welling up in her eyes. "Officers, I've been attacked." The white cop, Officer Reynolds, narrowed his eyes. "Who attacked you?" Karen whirled around and pointed straight at Monique. "Her! She shoved me. She was hostile. But then..." Vanessa held up her phone and pressed play, and suddenly, Karen's entire world collapsed. The video played loud and clear. Karen dumping the milk. Karen fake stumbling. Karen screeching like a lunatic. The officers stood there watching. Their faces were unreadable. Karen felt her entire body go cold, and when the video ended, Officer Reynolds looked her dead in the eye. "Ma'am, do you realize that filing a false police report is a crime?" Karen's jaw dropped. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She was supposed to be believed. She was supposed to be the victim. But instead, she was about to get exactly what she deserved. Karen stood frozen. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was supposed to be the one pointing fingers, making accusations, and having everyone believe her. Instead, she was the one under scrutiny. Officer Reynolds stared her down, waiting for an answer. Ma'am, do you realize that filing a false police report is a crime? Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her brain scrambled for an excuse, a way out, but there was none. The whole damn thing was caught on camera. And the worst part, everyone was watching. Phones were out, recording. This wasn't just a bad day for Karen. This was a viral disaster waiting to happen. Karen tries one last pathetic lie. Karen blinked rapidly, forcing out a few fake tears. I wasn't lying. I just felt threatened. I thought she was going to hurt me. Vanessa let out the most exaggerated sigh. Girl, just stop. We all just watched you fake an attack. Karen ignored her. She turned to the officers, putting on her best helpless white woman face. Please, officer, you have to understand. I was just scared. People like her. Both cops stiffened. Officer Reynolds' face darkened. The black officer, Officer Carter, let out a humorless chuckle. People like her, he repeated, raising an eyebrow. Care to explain that, ma'am? Karen swallowed hard. She could feel her plan crumbling like wet paper in her hands. She tried to backtrack. No, that's not what I meant. She was so aggressive, and Vanessa clapped her hands together, laughing. Y'all hearing this? Classic Karen move. More murmurs rippled through the crowd. Karen was losing control. Fast. The store manager steps in and Karen's fate is sealed. Just when things couldn't get worse, they did. A man in a store manager's uniform stepped through the crowd. His name tag read Jason, and he looked pissed. He walked right up to the officers and crossed his arms. Officers, we've had problems with this woman before, Jason said, jerking his thumb toward Karen. This ain't the first time she's harassed customers and tried to cause a scene. Karen's head snapped toward him, her face a mask of betrayal. That's a lie, she screeched. I'm a paying customer. Jason didn't even blink. And now you're a paying customer who just got banned from this store. The crowd let out a collective, oof. Karen staggered back. This was spiraling out of control. She had to turn this around. She still had one last card to play. Karen tries to flip the script and fails miserably. Karen straightened up, puffing out her chest. This is discrimination. I'm being harassed for being a white woman in a black neighborhood. The entire store went silent. Even Monique, who had been keeping her cool, tilted her head like, did she really just say that? Officer Carter let out a deep, slow sigh. Ma'am, we are in a predominantly white neighborhood. The realization seemed to hit Karen all at once. Her face turned a deep shade of red, and the crowd, they were losing it. Did she really try to play the race card? Karen, you're embarrassing yourself, girl. Somebody get her a shovel so she can dig that hole deeper. Karen's eyes darted around, desperately searching for even one ally in the crowd, but there were none. Not this time. Her last trick had just backfired spectacularly. The final blow, and Karen's ultimate humiliation. Officer Reynolds exhaled, shaking his head. All right, I think we've seen enough. He reached for his cuffs. Karen's breath caught in her throat. Wait, you can't arrest me. I didn't do anything. Officer Carter gave her a look. Filing a false police report, inciting public panic, and attempting to frame an innocent person? Yeah, you did something. Before Karen could bolt, he grabbed her wrist and snapped the cuffs on. The store erupted in cheers. Vanessa mock gasped. Oh no, Karen's going to jail? Somebody call Fox News. Monique just smirked. And Karen, she had never been so humiliated in her life. Her perfect plan had turned into a nightmare. And the worst part? Her screaming, her fake tears, her pathetic meltdown, it was all being recorded. By tomorrow morning, she was going to be everywhere. She was the Karen who got arrested on camera. And nobody was ever going to forget it. Karen Whitmore always thought she was untouchable. For years, she got away with her entitled tantrums, fake victimhood, and weaponized privilege. But this time karma wasn't just knocking on her door. It was kicking that damn door down. And her life was about to spiral in ways she never imagined. Karen gets booked, and reality hits hard. The moment she was shoved into the back of the squad car, Karen felt the first real wave of panic hit her. This was supposed to be a slap on the wrist, a misunderstanding, something she could talk her way out of. But as the doors slammed shut, she realized she wasn't going home tonight. Her hands, cuffed behind her back, were starting to ache. Her mouth was dry. Her mind raced. Maybe if she cried, maybe if she begged, maybe if she told them she had a medical condition, something, anything, they'd let her go. She turned to Officer Carter in the front seat. "Officer, please, this is all a big mistake. I, I'm not a bad person. I just panicked." Officer Carter didn't even look at her. He just snorted. "Yeah, well, I just read your record, Karen. Seems like this ain't your first rodeo." Karen stiffened. Oh no. They knew. They knew about the other incidents. The reports, the complaints, the time she pulled this exact same stunt in other stores, restaurants, even a damn dog park. And this time, it wasn't just going to disappear, the mugshot seen round the world. The holding cell smelled like sweat and bad decisions. Karen sat on the cold metal bench, arms crossed, lips tight. She had been booked, fingerprinted, and worst of all, photographed. That mugshot, oh, it was bad. Mascara smeared, cheeks blotchy from crying, her mouth mid-sob. It wasn't just unflattering, it was iconic. And within hours, it was everywhere. By the time Karen was released on bail the next morning, her face had already gone viral. Not just on TikTok, not just on Twitter. National news picked it up. Memes were exploding, and the captions, brutal. Live footage of Karen realizing actions have consequences. Her face when "can I speak to the manager" doesn't work on the cops. POV, you lied about being attacked and now the world knows. Karen's reputation wasn't just damaged, it was destroyed. But the real nightmare, it was only just beginning. Karen loses everything. And it's deliciously ironic, the second Karen stepped outside the jail, she was hit with cameras and microphones. Reporters, news anchors, bloggers, even some random guy on TikTok doing a live stream. She tried to cover her face, but it was too late. The whole world knew who she was, and her phone, oh, that thing was blowing up, except none of the messages were good. Her boss fired her, her HOA expelled her from the neighborhood committee. Her husband filed for divorce. Apparently, even he was done with her BS. Karen's perfect life? Gone. Just like that. And the best part, she had no one to blame but herself. Meanwhile, Monique is thriving. As Karen's world burned, Monique was out here living her best damn life. Her business? Booming. Her social media? Exploding. Overnight, she became an icon. Brands reached out for collaborations. Customers flooded her online store. She went from just another Black woman minding her business to a full-blown success story. And as for Vanessa, she was out here eating popcorn, watching Karen's downfall like it was a Netflix special. Because justice had never tasted sweeter. The final blow, and the internet never forgets, months later, Karen tried to move on. She moved to a different city, changed her hair, deleted all her social media. But it didn't matter, because the internet never forgets. No matter where she went, people recognized her. "Wait, are you the Karen? Aren't you the lady who got arrested for lying? Oh my God, you're the milk lady." She couldn't escape it. Her legacy was set in stone. She wasn't Karen Whitmore anymore. She was the woman who ruined her own life over a carton of milk. And no one, not a single soul, felt bad for her. Not one bit. Karen Whitmore had officially hit rock bottom. Her cushy suburban life, gone. Her job, gone. Her marriage, a casualty of her own stupidity. She had become the internet's favorite cautionary tale, a walking, talking meme of entitlement and self-destruction. But Karen wasn't the type to accept defeat. No, she was going to fight back. She was going to rebrand. She was going to prove to the world that she wasn't just another Karen. She was a victim. And her comeback? Oh, it was going to be legendary. Too bad nobody cared. Karen's apology, the worst PR move ever. Step one in Karen's comeback plan? A public apology. Or at least what she thought was an apology. Karen set up her phone, hit record, and put on her best remorseful face. Tears? Check. Soft, shaky voice? Check. Dramatic sighs for effect? Oh, absolutely. And then she began, I want to say how truly sorry I am for the events that happened. Already, red flag. She couldn't even say what she did. But she kept going. I was under a lot of stress, and I just felt scared. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just made a mistake, and I hope people can find it in their hearts to forgive me. It was classic Karen nonsense. No accountability, no real apology. Just excuses, excuses, excuses. And the internet? Oh, they were not having it. Nah, keep that weak-ass apology. We saw the video. Girl, just say you got caught and go. You felt scared? From what? The milk? Her video was immediately flooded with dislikes. And the memes? Brutal. Karen thought she could cry her way back into people's good graces. Instead, she just reminded them why they hated her in the first place. Karen tries to play the victim and fails spectacularly. Since the apology flopped, Karen went to Plan B, the age-old Karen strategy, make herself the victim. She booked herself on a talk show hoping to spin the narrative in her favor. Big mistake, because as soon as she started talking, it was obvious. She hadn't learned a damn thing. I was unfairly targeted. The internet bullied me. I lost everything because of cancel culture. The audience wasn't buying it. The host, a sharp-witted black woman named Patrice Lawson, raised an eyebrow. Karen, let's be real. You didn't lose everything because of cancel culture. You lost everything because you lied. The crowd clapped. Karen's face twitched. But I've changed. I've grown. Patrice cut her off. Have you? Because you're sitting here playing the victim instead of owning up to what you did. More claps. Karen swallowed hard. She was bombing. Hard. Her redemption arc, dead on arrival. Karen's final attempt, and the ultimate karma. At this point, Karen was desperate. She tried applying for jobs, but no one wanted to hire her. She tried dating, but the second anyone Googled her, they ran. She even tried starting a YouTube channel called Karen's Journey to Redemption. It had 7 subscribers, and 5 of them were probably bots. She had officially hit her last resort, a GoFundMe. Yep, Karen launched a fundraiser titled, Help Me Rebuild My Life After Unfair Cancellation. Her goal, $50,000. Her earnings were $23, and someone requested a refund. That's when she knew. It was over. She could cry, she could scream, she could play the victim all she wanted. But the world had moved on. No one was coming to save her. And she had no one to blame but herself. Meanwhile, Monique is thriving again. While Karen's life was circling the drain, she was out here living. Her business had expanded. She had been invited on talk shows, but not as a victim, as a success story. And one day, as Monique sipped her iced coffee, she scrolled past a video of Karen whining about her life on TikTok. She smirked. She could have commented. She could have laughed. She could have said, told you so. But she didn't. Because at the end of the day, Karen wasn't worth her time. Karma had already handled it perfectly. It's been a year since Karen Whitmore's infamous meltdown. A year since she lost everything. Her job, her marriage, her reputation. A year since she tried and failed to make a comeback. And now, well, let's just say life hasn't exactly gotten better for her, Karen's new life. And it's miserable. Karen now lives in a cramped, one-bedroom apartment in a part of town she used to turn her nose up at. She's got no friends, no social life, and the only job she could get, customer service. That's right, Karen, the queen of I need to speak to the manager, is the manager. At a fast food joint, and every single day she has to deal with people just like her. Entitled, rude, impossible to please customers. It's poetic justice. It's karma, and it's hilarious. Karen's internet legacy. She can't escape it. Though Karen tried to disappear, the internet made sure she never could. People still recognize her. Wait, aren't you the Karen from the milk video? Oh my God, you're the meme! Hold up, weren't you the lady who got arrested for lying? She can't go anywhere without someone bringing it up. And the worst part, every few months the video resurfaces. A new generation of internet users discovers it, and just like that, her humiliation goes viral all over again. Karen is stuck in a never-ending cycle of being that woman. The cautionary tale, the walking joke, and there's nothing she can do about it. Meanwhile, Monique is still winning. And what about Monique? Oh, she's still thriving. Her business? Bigger than ever. She's expanded to multiple locations. She's featured in magazines. She's everything Karen thought she was. And one day, while scrolling through her phone, Monique stumbles upon a video. It's Karen, crying on TikTok. Again, talking about how unfair her life is. Monique watches for a few seconds, then chuckles to herself. She closes the app, sets down her phone, and goes back to living her amazing life. Because Karen isn't worth another second of her time. And that's the real karma. Karen lost everything, and no one, not a single soul cares.